Good morning, dear Dharma friends. We have sound. Yay. What is it? Wednesday, June the 24th, 2020. I was very aware of waking up this morning. Please mute yourself if you happen somehow or another to come unmuted. For some hours in the middle of the night, I was gone. And then I was back. Strange, isn't it? Who is this I? Well, I'm very grateful that you're here this morning and practicing with me. Greetings to those of you on Facebook and YouTube. Looks like all systems are go on both systems. I came across this morning as I was reflecting on a poem to share. This one, it's been in my quiver for years. It matched my mood and presence this morning. It's by a fellow I've never heard of other than this, Donald C. Babcock. The Little Duck, it's called. Now we're ready to look at something special. It is a duck riding the ocean 100 feet beyond the surf. And she cuddles in the swells. There is a great heaving in the Atlantic, and she is a part of it. She can rest while the ocean heaves, because she rests in the Atlantic. She probably doesn't know how large the Atlantic is, and neither do you. But she realizes it. And what does she do, I ask you? She sits down in it. She reposes in the immediate, as if it is infinity, which it is. That is true religion, and the duck has it. I think I'd rather say true spirituality. Now we're ready to look at something special. It is a duck riding the ocean 100 feet beyond the surf. And he cuddles in the swells. There is a great heaving in the Atlantic, and he is part of it. He can rest while the ocean heaves, because he rests in the Atlantic. He probably doesn't know how large the Atlantic is, and neither do you. But he realizes it. And what does he do, I ask you? He sits down in it. He reposes in the immediate as if it is infinity, which it is. That is true spiritual. That is true spirit, and the duck has it. I like that better. He reposes in the immediate as if it is infinity, which it is. That is true spirit, and the duck has it. So let us repose, let us rest in this exact moment right here and now. There's no telling what the waves will be like, what the weather will be like, what the outer weather or inner weather will be like. It will be exactly as it is. And I'm very grateful. I just skimmed across the screens, and as I come to rest in my life right here and now as it is, to do it with you, to have actual company on the journey is incredibly strengthening. And to have the guideposts, to have the map, to have the enthusiasm that can come, the safety that can come. Resting in the Atlantic, resting in nature, resting in what really is. So please join me in remembering the refuges if you choose to do so. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. Pretty lonely place here in a human life without Sangha. as we humans have done now for thousands of years. Taking a comfortable upright posture, and becoming aware of being present. Aware of the body that sits here. There's an effect of gravity. The earth pulls us toward her. There's pressure. There is aliveness in what we each take to be our hands. And the breath, this quintessential sign of life. Here since that first moment when our mother could no longer breathe for us. Now that's a generous act, isn't it? 9 months of breathing for us. But now here it is, our own body breathing. As that duck rests in the Atlantic. Rest in your breathing, the waves of breath that come and go. Each breath has a beginning. We endeavor to be present with that beginning, that birth, that moment of genesis. The chest and abdomen rise, there's sensations at the nostrils. But there's no fantasy about this. There's no imagination even. There's just the facts of the body breathing. Each breath rises to fullness, declines and disappears. The outer weather is sunny here today. How is the inner weather where you are? Is the mind calm and quiet, or somewhat restless? Perhaps the mind is in deep harmony and doesn't want anything in particular, or perhaps it's caught up in some fantasies of consumption, desire. Is it accepting of the moment, or is it pushing against it, disliking it? Sounds come, sometimes endure for a little while, and then they disappear. The same is true with moods.
If it's helpful, we can remember the attitudinal intention. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. Whenever I'm hurting, no matter how I'm hurting, I aspire to hold myself in sweet compassion. When I encounter others who are acting unskillfully, because they are mired and lost in greed, hatred, and delusion, I aspire to hold them also in sweet, loving compassion.
Is there some sense of battling with the mind? If so, why work so hard? Awareness is effortless. Simply be present with what is, even if it's painful. And we drift into and out of trance states, always with mindfulness coming to the fore. And then we notice a moment of hearing or sitting or breathing. Taking note of the nature or the attributes of mind. What's the weather like? Is the mind easily concentrated, abiding almost effortlessly on the sensations of breathing, or is it restless? Is it leaning into the future or hanging on to the past somehow? Is it very discursive, trying to solve a problem, rehearsing a conversation? Is it doubting, perhaps? Is it sleepy and dull, sloth and torpor? Through one lens, meditation is a scientific endeavor. We cultivate a mind which is awake, an instrument to do the measurement, the actual observation. We cultivate it to be objective. Is it true that everything here is changing? Is it true that there is really no final satisfaction happening through the sense doors? Can I find a self in here? Or is it all just living process? Can I rest in the extraordinary aliveness which is this body and mind? And in coming to terms with our own body, our own mind, that which we take to be that, we uncover how we are intimately connected with all others. And so let's close with a simple intention practice. On the in-breath, what would be your most generous, precious, beautiful wish or prayer for yourself? Some traditional ones: may I be really happy. May I be free from fear and danger. May I live with ease and grace. May I be liberated. And on the out-breath, think of a person or persons who it's easy to love. May this person be happy, free from danger, protected, safe. Or you might like to do it quite differently and just imagine a golden or white light in your heart, or breathing in energy. It's really all about the intention. Let a little smile come to your lips. This person sitting here, this that takes itself to be someone, or perhaps the great mantra, I love you, with your name at the end on the in-breath. And on the out-breath, to your beloveds, or maybe to all beings. May my day be filled with mindfulness and equanimity and kindness and nonviolence. May your day be free from all forms of suffering. And so we breathe in and we breathe out. We are the earth breathing itself. Some of us, no doubt, will face some challenges today, maybe all of us. Difficult relatives, or challenging work, or health problems, or shaken by the news, perhaps, or opening to the depths of great ease right now. As Ruth Denison would sometimes put it, Dalink, rest in the beauty of your being. Rest in the beauty of your being. And in a moment, opening awareness to the entire body that sits here. It's like this body is like this. And now becoming aware of the face and the eyes, and letting the miracle of intention occur, intending to raise the eyelids, and then doing that, letting it operationalize, and then seeing and knowing it. A precursor to being mindful of seeing all day. Seeing. I've grown so accustomed to finding you sitting in my tent that it's really very comforting. I started yesterday with a simple recitation of the precepts, and I want each day for a little while to speak about one of them. That first one, I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from killing, to do my very best to refrain from killing. Or as Ajahn Sumedho put it on a retreat I was on with him, think of how different the world would be if we all simply agreed to not kill human beings. If there weren't that threat in the background. If we didn't create movies about that. If we didn't build submarines with 150 thermonuclear weapons in them. If we simply didn't allow that, what a different world it would be. And there's a positive statement, I aspire to be kind and of service to all beings, the opposite of killing. So we can look at our own lives. Most probably none of us kill human beings. If you go to robertbeatty.com, there's a little story there called Killing Ratty, which was my experiment. We discovered we had rats in our house, and I wound up trying to trap them but failing, and in the end killing them. And it was a very interesting experiment. But this intention of non-harming starts in the Sanskrit word ahimsa, which is nonviolence, and our practice is also based utterly in nonviolence. If the wandering mind is a problem and we're trying to kill it, we're at war. If we're trying to stop it, and the antidote is to open to it and realize that it comes and goes, and it's vaporous to begin with. So the precept of undertaking the rule of training, the training of the heart, to live kindly, to live peacefully, actually begins with our own meditation practice. And we certainly move in that direction over time, as we discover that nonviolence really actually works. And violence always creates an opposite and equal force. So I invite you to reflect on where in your life is there violence and where is there kindness and compassion, and particularly to look at it towards yourself. So there's my little homily on the precepts. Woodpecker. I haven't heard a woodpecker in a long time. A medium-sized woodpecker by the sound. I just had memories. There was a place I used to teach in Canada, Johnson's Landing, and there were woodpeckers there, and they were so loud, and they'd always stay just out of sight. And I'd look up, and I'd be doing interviews outside, and there'd be this giant creature. So, announcements. I want to invite you to remember the Portland Insight Meditation Community, and to find that place in your heart where you feel full and where you can take delight in supporting PIMC in our ongoing keeping the place running. And I just remembered that Ron Bodette thing, the motel thing. We'll leave the lights on for you. Oh, you're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes. Stop. Anyway, that's a very fine thing to do, and to make a monthly contribution really helps. And I want to thank everyone who has contributed already to the Tough Shed. We're getting really close. And Alicia, if you would do a little song and dance, that'd be great. And I'm so grateful. I'm excited. And now I'm impatient. It's like, all right, get the damn thing here. But they're not scheduling it yet. It'll be 4 or 5 weeks. But it is summer and beautiful. Alicia, are you there? I saw you once. There you are. I can't hear you. Can other people hear you? No. Oh. Should be able to hear you. Huh. Still mute. Oh, now you mute. Unmute. Oh, well. Oh, there. Oh, well. You were very articulate this morning, particularly clear. maybe that will clear up. Thank you, Alicia.
Robert, now you have no sound.
This technology, I used to think of myself as sort of good with technology, but this is getting away from me. Oh well. So, thank you, Christy. I love your enthusiasm. So, how is it for you folks today? Anything you want to speak about?
Robert, can you hear me?
I can, Hadley.
Okay, it was so pleasant yesterday. I got a beautiful acknowledgement from you for donating to the Tough Shed Temple. And I want to acknowledge acknowledgement. I just think of acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge you for all the heavy lifting you have done through the years that we are getting filtered through, and you're speaking today, each day, and acknowledge each person here is like, what is the number? There's 64 of us here now, and I don't know how we fit in your tent. It's bigger.
It's a big tent.
Bigger than it looks.
It's like the loaves and fishes.
It's like a Doctor Who event.
Right. Thanks, Ed.
So thank you for that acknowledgement for the donation to the Tough Shed, and may it come to be quickly, so don't have to be impatient.
Thanks.
Hey, Robert.
Hi, Christopher.
Hello, good morning. Just a comment on my practice right now is I'm trying to get better in situations where things don't go as planned. You know, it's easier if you expect a bad reaction, or if you expect something to maybe go haywire, but it's a different story when you don't expect that, and then all of a sudden things change, and the instinct is to react almost sometimes in a negative way, and I don't like that about myself, because I think it says a lot about when you don't get what you want, how do you react in that situation. And so I'm just trying to be mindful in those situations and go about them in a mindful and being aware, and that's happening and occurring, and recognizing it before the negative reaction comes out.
Can I add a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
When the negative comes out, love yourself even more. There's a very helpful mantra, it's very powerful, and I use it myself a fair bit. It's like, dang, human again. Because self-flagellation, violence, self-hatred, doesn't help with the healing of that. The only thing that helps is loving. So, how wonderful that you're getting to watch that. You watch the neurotic self do its thing. And that's how healing happens. That's the only way healing happens.
Thank you, Robert.
There's a private message to me You mentioned in the meditation being present with what is occupying your mind. This morning it is the pain of loneliness and loss. I can visualize it and feel it like the weight of the coffee cup in my hands. Now present with it. What do I do with it? Is there an action point here? In this practice, the main action point is the knowing. Actually, let me find this. I have a beautiful quote from Krishnamurti. Hijk. Transformation occurs only when none of the following are present. Desire to change the experience. Judgment. Analysis. Justification. Grasping. Selfing. Resisting. Or believing I am witnessing. That last one's a real kicker. Transformation occurs only when none of the following are present. Desire to change the experience, judgment, analysis, justification, grasping, selfing, resisting, or believing I am witnessing. So these states like loneliness and fear and anger, mostly we try to avoid them. And then the more stable the mind becomes and the more the 7 enlightenment factors develop, then when they arise, we really can see them as not self. We really can see them as just life unfolding. I had a little encounter this morning with Jennifer. She's writing something, and I put it. She wanted me to help edit it, and I put it in Word, and then used the track changes thing, and then sent it back to her. And then she was having trouble with getting it to work in track changes on her computer, and then I had to come out here, run at a time. And an old tension that happens between us popped up, and I watched my end of that come up, and it's very unpleasant in myself, and it's not even so much the interpersonal piece. It's just, oh no, I tried to help and I didn't succeed, and that used to really take me down. But today I was like, oh, it feels yucky, but it's just the pattern. And so having felt that pattern so deeply, so often, it could come through. Though as I'm talking about it, it's generating it a little bit again. And I realize when I go in the house, that'll be there, maybe. But we come to a place, and I don't claim to have arrived anywhere, but we come to a place where our very personality and the way it responds to circumstances becomes an object of observation and curiosity rather than the truth. And I think the healing of that, the waking up to that, is at least one lifetime's work, maybe many, who knows. So, anybody else have something you'd like to ask or share?
This is Mary Kay.
Hello, Mary Kay.
That list from Krishnamurti, the last one I think was believing you are witnessing.
Yes.
I'd like to hear a little more about that. Thank you.
Well, there could be, like in this moment, how do you, it's really, it's deeper than I am. It's, you know what it's like if you're I have a penchant for good dark chocolate. So to be present with good dark chocolate, or to be, oh, look at this. I'm aware of myself having really liking dark chocolate. I'm into a thought about. I'm not just there's not just awareness and the experience. There's a kind of an owning, a creating of a self out of the experience.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And I definitely share your craving for dark chocolate.
It's a very refined substance on the planet. They say it touches the same receptors as morphine. So how could it be? How could it be bad? Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Looks like you live in a nice place. Look at all that land outside. Is that a real background?
It is. I live in the Skagit Flats near the water, the island. Look at a lot of farmland. So it's very peaceful.
You're part of the Skagit crowd.
I am.
Thanks for your question.
Robert, this is Terry in Seattle. I have a question.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, good morning, everyone. You said the only way to healing happens is in watching the erotic self, but then believing you are witnessing, I'm confused about the difference between the two.
Oh, boy. Yeah, me too.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the thing about taking credit for it rather than simply being it. When there's just awareness of it happening and love, there doesn't need to be any comment about it or any ownership of it. It's just awareness greeting itself, greeting the object. And it's hard as hell to talk about. Or easy to talk about, but hard to manifest. That's maybe more accurate.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Morning, Robert. It's Michael.
Hello, Michael.
I was listening to the comments. Actually, it's kind of been going on since, I think, Sunday morning, listening to the discussions and what's been going through my mind in meditations and during the days. And one of the things that I kind of realized this morning was kind of raised in the various comments today. I have this, I hate to say habit, I guess it's a predilection to, when I leave a conversation with somebody or an interaction with somebody, whether it be in person or online or text or phone, the mood of that conversation and my impression of the mood of the person I'm interacting with, that's cemented in my mind. And I tend to carry a lot of anxiety from conversations with some people, and I don't give them credit for experiencing the changes that I find I go through. And I'm finding during this whole pandemic thing, my emotional roller coaster has been so much more exaggerated and compacted, and yet I find that I'm not giving that same benefit of the doubt to the other person, that if I'm hearing anxiety, as soon as that conversation's over, they're stuck in anxious world until the next conversation. And it just occurred to me today, and I thought I'd share that. It was a nice relief to me to realize that.
You mean if if in this interaction, if you perceived me as anxious, I would be frozen as anxious until our next encounter? Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah. And I carry some of that anxiety and that my reaction to that, to your being anxious, I would carry with me really, and I guess until we re-interacted again. So better have another interaction. So it just never had occurred to me and put in those words, because I'm quite aware of my own emotional roller coasters that I go through.
Ah, I see.
But for whatever reason, that anicca never was
So
given benefit to the others.
It's a way that the mind forms an opinion and then clings to the opinion in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also kind of brought into mind something Doyle's shared with me with the Four Noble Truths, of the reactions to them, in his anagram of card: comprehend the first truth, abandon the second, realize.
On here and realize I've had them, this mind has had them in a tight little something, and it's not at all representative of who they are or even how I've experienced them.
Yes.
It's just so biased. It's just so, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, there must be, I'm sure people have written theses about it, that it simplifies things to have people in a box, as opposed to, I have no idea who this is, and right now my experience of them is this. It's much more interesting, but I think that boxing up people is pretty common, I guess.
It reminds me of when you hear somebody, a radio personality, for example, and then see a picture of them, and the disconnect between them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. Now let Jessica out of the box.
You broke through that box a lot.
Together. Yes, Hadley.
I must comment that just as we box each other up, we got to observe directly that we box ourselves up,
Amen.
and how I occur for myself changes, and I want it to be some way other than it is, and I can create new ways, and it's a dance.
Thanks, Had.
So that really shows up for me when I'm teaching folks with brain injury meditation, because we really see that we are just this fabrication and concoction of self-making and ideas, and dancing with it all.
Thanks, Had. So we're a little after 8. Anybody sitting with something that you'd like to share? Oh, a little dog. Hi, Tim. That dog can wave. Christopher can wave too. Well, I'm having haircut anticipation. At 11:30 I get to have my haircut, and so the it'll be different, and I'm used to it being shorter now. I used to wear it like this all the time, but it's hot, so today it's getting shorn. Well, last call. Anyone who would like to share anything? Let's end. I don't see any kids. Have we got kids on the screen here anywhere? All right. Let's end in that case with an Om. Om, the dial tone of the universe. And we'll do it for 30 seconds or so, and then there will be a gong. Let me get it set. A gong. Oh, I will put the Krishnamurti 7 points on my blog, portlandinsight.org/blog, and also on the listserv. I will do that before I leave this spot this morning. And now I'm going to get my... There we go. Unmute everybody. Om. Om. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. Have a beautiful day, dear friends, and I will look forward to being with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, I hear kids.
Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Good day.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook and YouTube. I hope you also are having a wonderful day.